Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah.
Okay.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty.
Welcome to the Savage Nation. Yeah, where is that Paradise Valley? I'm here in Los Angeles, where it's supposed to be Paradise Valley. I'm in the heart of the images that go out to the world called Hollywood. I come here from time to time, and I'm looking for that place where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. I guess it's everywhere you look. But that's not the point. Where is paradise? I guess the Muslims know where it is. They scream Allahu Akbar, and one of them just killed people on a supermarket in Germany. Sorry, Merkel's legacy. One dead, several injured in supermarket knife attack. Blood-soaked man. No description of the man. Well, we found the picture of the man who killed someone in a supermarket while screaming Allahu Akbar. But the capons in the German police, look up what a capon is. You can find it in a poultry market or in most police departments in Germany. The capons don't know the motive of the man who screamed Allahu Akbar and stabbed people with a big knife. Oh, well, another day, another murder in Germany. Thank you, Angela. Anyway, let me stay positive. So I had breakfast this morning with a top conservative movie star. And it's a big deal for me for a couple of reasons. One, because there aren't too many top conservative movie stars. And he's the real McCoy. And he's a real fan of the show. I saw him once a year ago. We don't keep in touch. I got here yesterday. I texted him and I said, would you like to meet? I'd like to give you a copy of Trump's War. So he said, breakfast? I said, sure. So we met. Gave him a copy. Well, we pulled out. Turns out I didn't even have a copy of the book with me here. I had only a working copy with my own notes and my Post-its in it. He said, I can't take that. I said, it'll be worth a lot more. He laughed. He said, no, just send me one when you get home. So I gave him Teddy and me, and we talked about Donald Trump, he worked very hard in supporting Donald Trump. I worked very hard in supporting Donald Trump. And I want to tell you what went on in this conversation today over breakfast with the conservative movie star, with Michael, in our commentary about Donald Trump and how it went, because it's a very telling story about where he's at. First of all, he's still a big Trump supporter. He said he's so besieged by the press, he's so besieged by enemies within, that it's almost impossible for him to get anything done, right? That's number one. But he said, we talked in generalities to begin with. And then he said to me, have you heard President Trump's speech at the Holocaust Memorial from this year? I said, no, I didn't. He pulled out his iPhone. I would say we were 15 minutes into the breakfast. He asked me what I was going to order. He said, you're an expert in nutrition. I said, I know, but I'm traveling, so I'm going to violate my diet. He said, what are you getting? I said, 2 eggs, potatoes. And he ordered the same thing, except he got broccoli, not potatoes, because he's a movie star and I'm a talk show host. I needed the energy today, and he didn't. And he pulled out his iPhone, and he pumped up the speech. And it's Donald Trump at the Yad Vashem Memorial talking about the Jews, the Holocaust, the Nazis, and the spirit of survival. I had never heard the speech, but I have a little snippet for you today that I must play. I'm going to play that for you a little later. And then our conversation turned to other things, such as, I can't put them in the right order, truthfully. I brought up, I guess, talk radio, and he said, Michael, I said, this is about the loneliest profession on earth, Mr. Movie Star. And he said, you've influenced a lot of people. He said, never forget, you've been doing this for 20 years. You've changed a lot of minds. And he said, you're a very important voice in America. He said, don't stop. Please don't stop. Well, it turns out that the waiter in this Los Angeles coffee shop came over. Young guy, by the way, not an oldie. Young guy. And he said, I'm a huge fan of yours. I listen to you online. That's because I'm still boycotted in Los Angeles. And even though I'm boycotted in L.A., I have a huge fan base. Did you know that? Oh, yeah. You won't read that on page 6. You won't read that in the SF Chronicle. You won't read that in the LA Times. I have a secret audience in every liberal city in this country. And he said, keep it up. We need you. And he kept playing. The Holocaust memorial speech was over 15 minutes long. Anyway, that went on. And then I pulled out my book, Teddy and Me, and I showed him the pictures of Teddy. He loved it. And then I said, do you have a dog? He said, no, I travel a lot. He said, I can't take care of him. And he said, it's remarkable to me how, of all the animals on earth, the dog is the only one that has the ability to empathize with human beings to the level that dogs do. I said, I know, it's remarkable. And we talked about Teddy. And we got up, walked out into the sunny parking lot. And I must tell you, he was encouraging. His encouragement made me feel very good. Now, of course, I know the news. Trust me. I know that McCain came back as the Benedict Arnold that he is. I know that he's always been the same, and he learned nothing. As he hovered between life and death with his cancer, he still learned nothing about loyalty. He still turned out to be a turncoat communist. A real SOB, that McCain, isn't he? Then I see that North Korea fired another ballistic missile, lands in Japan's waters, that their nukes could hit USA by next year. And I said, how long is this going to go on till they take out this fat maniac in North Korea? This can't be allowed to continue. He will kill thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. He is a madman. And you know something? We talked about that at breakfast as well. We said Donald Trump has to do something about that. So what do you think? Should Donald Trump pay more attention to North Korea or trannies in the military? I personally think North Korea is a bigger issue than trannies in the military, even though you know my feeling on the trans military thing, which is it's a cost nightmare. Forget about all the social benefits to the transvestites and transgenders. We know there's tremendous self-esteem associated with making yourself feel like a man. We know that. But that's not the job of the military, to make trannies feel like a man. The job of the military is to kill the enemy. That's the job of the military. Kill the enemy. Blow up the enemy before they blow your mother's house up. It's not to make transvestites feel like men or like women, whatever they want to feel like. It's simple. It's as simple as that. It's not the University of California at Berkeley. It's the military. So that's that. And, of course, then we went our separate way, and my Dodge Hellcat fired up in the parking lot. Everyone turned around. I didn't mean it to, but I keep the car down here. I drive it so seldom it'll be worth a lot on some auction site in 20 years. It's almost brand new. It still has the original tank of gas in it. I never put gas in it. Would you believe that? I have the car, 2 years now? No mileage. What a sound that car makes. You can hardly keep it on the road. But I must tell you, as I was riding on Mulholland Drive to the breakfast meeting early this morning, it was empty. One moron, white hair, racing probably to an unimportant job where he thinks he's very important, in a Porsche, got on my tail and wouldn't stop. Now, this is a windy road with cliffs. I'm not going to speed on the road just because a putz is behind me in a Porsche. And I'm not going to go slow and hit my brakes. I did my own speed limit, which was about the speed limit plus 5. Because I know someone who got killed here on a motorcycle. But apparently the putz behind me in the Porsche with white hair racing to a studio to make believe he's a very important man didn't get the message. Well, I tried to wave him on into oncoming traffic, but apparently he didn't follow the lead. I mean, what can I do? It's a 2-lane road. I figured if he was in such a rush to prove how important he is, he can pass me. So I waved him on just as a big truck was coming. I guess he didn't want to pass me at that particular moment. Then we got to the first traffic light. I figured, all right, let's have it out. Let's have the race. And, of course, he didn't. He stayed behind me. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, well, that's the way it is. And that's the way it is on the Savage Nation. Now, let's have some of that music that I love, guys. Not Guns N' Roses, Paradise City. Let's go to the other one that I asked you to have.
Business like show business like no business I know.
Yeah, the Texaco man.
About it is appealing. Everything the traffic.
Where is Phil Silvers? He's dead. Where is Milton Berle? Dead. Turn it off. I don't even like it. Let's have Guns N' Roses. Let's open the lines up at 855-407-2822. Sessions, by the way, has to follow the rule of law, not the rule of Trump. That's a Savage original. Savage has to follow his own compass. And Savage says Sessions has to follow the rule of law, not the rule of Trump. He does not serve the president exclusively. The Attorney General serves the Constitution. Do you understand that? No. All right. Now, we're not going to talk about anything serious today. I could see that already. So let's go to the sound that I have for you on the Savage Nation today. We have Savage on the trans ban. Trump commemorates the Holocaust Memorial Day. Flashback to 2010 when McCain called for the repeal of Obamacare. That son of a gun, huh? It's interesting that MSNBC and CNN, two of the most backstabbing outlets in the history of America, despite their ratings, they are absolute skunks and scoundrels, celebrating John McCain sabotaging the Obamacare repeal. Now suddenly they love McCain, the traitor. I guess soon they're going to start to love the Vietnam War. If they keep this up and McCain continues to stab his own party and the American people in the back, they may even come to love the Vietnam War over at MSNBC. What's this? Schumer sobs, inspired by McCain vote. Is that worth playing? Oh, let's hear Charles Schumer crying in a pink shirt and a pink tie. Let's open the show with that soundbite. That'll be wonderful.
All of us were so inspired
Oh, here he gets Klimt.
by the speech
Look at this.
and the life of the senator from Arizona. And he asked us to go back to regular order,
He asked us,
to bring back the Senate that some of us
why
who
don't you
were
go
here
back
have
to
been
a
here
deli where
while
you belong,
remember.
Schumer?
Maybe this can be a
Go
moment
back to
where we
serving
start doing
pickles
that.
and pastrami.
Both sides will have to give.
Our
Blame
turn. I can't
hardly
listen
fall-
to it. I can't take senators who cry to begin with, let alone those crying crocodile tears. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, Pelosi is not to be left out of the action. She also praised the courageous McCain for stabbing America in the back. Let's listen to Pelosi again, true to form, as predictable as a hurricane in September.
The senators who
Go ahead.
courageously, Senator Murkowski and Senator Huns and Senator McCain.
Hold it. Stop. Did she say Senator McCaffkin? Wait a minute. Did I miss that? Is she that whacked out that she called him Senator McCaffkin? Robert, did I hear Senator McCaffkin? Yeah. Wait, guys, listen. Here is Pelosi getting mixed up. Again, praising she thinks McCain, but she doesn't even know what country she's in, let alone who she's praising. Tell me if I'm wrong. Did she just say Senator McCaffkin? Let's try it again.
The senators who courageously, Senator Murkowski and Senator Huns and Senator McCain, thank you for hearing the voices of the families. To the families and all the outside groups who weighed in offices
I
and
had enough of this. Let it go back to a sucking candy. Okay, my friends, it's not a good day in America. McConnell should be thrown out of office 2 years ago. Should be 2 years ago. You know, I was telling someone at dinner last night that McConnell was always a snake. In my opinion, the worst of them all is McConnell. I've called him the gobbler for years. Not so much because he has a neck that hangs down and he looks like a turkey, but he acts like a turkey. Now, you know he's from Kentucky. Now, I'll tell you more about that in a minute, but what was the first major appointment I said at dinner last night that Trump made? It was the Secretary of Transportation. And who was it who was appointed? Elaine Chao. And I said to dinner, they don't even know who she is. I said, who's Elaine Chao? The wife of McConnell. What was the first major piece of legislation, amongst the first, that got through Congress? Coal. McConnell did his job. He got his wife into the Department of Transportation. Just think about that job and how big it is, okay? Then he got coal through, and now he shafted America. It's time for McConnell to go. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. And there are no pictures of him. We found one picture of the knife-wielding man who went on a deadly rampage in Germany. He's wearing a spit mask with blood on it. in the police car. It's on michaelsavage.com. It's not even in the Daily Mail, that picture. Jim found it. Jim Verdi did. It's of no value to you other than to see the psychosis of Angela Merkel. I would think Angela Merkel and John McCain mentally are in the same stable, meaning unstable. Let's go to our callers, 855-407-2822, Savage Nation, live from Hollywood, California. Scott on WDRC Line 2. Go ahead, please.
Hello, Dr. Savage. There's plenty of blame to go around. Let's first start off with Republican traitors Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan. Then let's move on to Democratic communists, and that's what they are. Charles Schumer, Adam Schiff, Bernie Sanders, and Dianne Feinstein, who are indeed Jewish communists that have destroyed America.
Well,
and
let's pause right there. I understand what you got to pause for a minute. There are Irish communists like McCain. There are Italian communists. There are Protestant communists. So let's leave out the J word if you don't mind. Or was that the whole call, was to work in the J word? Is he gone now?
It's more than that. Let's not forget George Soros. George Soros is behind all of this.
All right, but if this is all going to be an anti-Semitic screed, I'm not going to let you on the show because that's not what the show is about. Just because many of these left-wing fanatics happen to be of the Jewish faith is of no consequence for one reason. None of them are religious. They are Jewish by heritage, if you would like me to discuss this in a little more detail, but they are not Jewish by practice nor by faith. None of them have any faith in God, so far as I can tell. They have faith in Karl Marx. If you want to meet conservative Jews, of whom there are many, you have to go into the Orthodox Jewish community, most of whom are extremely right-wing. Did you know that?
No, I did not. Can I ask?
Of course, that's the problem with dealing with stereotypes. I once got as upset over this issue as you are right now until an Irish friend said, you never met a communist till you met an Irish communist. And then an Italian friend said, oh, really? You don't know what a communist is until you met an Italian communist. So it's not limited to a particular religion, let me tell you, or race, if you want to put it that way. I hope that calmed you down and put it in a broader context. There's enough blame to go around, and we don't have to blame a religion for the communism that's inherent in too many people. 855-407-2822. It's Open Mic to Mike Friday. Rock and Roll Friday it is. I'll be right back. Be here or be nowhere.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
We're in a battle for our survival as a nation, and right now the communists are winning. Now, whether you could say it's because they've undermined Trump or because he undermined himself or the media undermined him, it really doesn't matter. The nation is hanging in the balance. The patriots who elected Donald Trump, we did so because we vowed to take our country back. Oh, we can blame the left-wing radicals. We can blame McConnell and McCain. But right now, there's a lot of blame to go around. And unfortunately, a lot of it is inside the Oval Office itself. This guy, Scaramucci, I don't know where he came from. I don't know who he is. I don't know why they put a man in who's so out of control with his mouth that he would call a New Yorker reporter and use words that I myself have heard but would never use and expect them not to be published. That doesn't show very good judgment. Let me tell you right now, he doesn't have very good judgment. I don't care if he made $10 million last year or $100 million last year as a hedge fund operator. I think that he's a little bit of a loose cannon here, as they say, on the deck. And right now that ship is lurching. And the last thing a lurching ship needs is a cannon that's not tied down. There's another cannon that's not tied down that was supposed to be brought in to stop the other loose cannons. Now, what good is it if you bring in another loose cannon when you have 4 loose cannons floating around on deck? Then you got Splay who's still there, waiting to display herself again in front of some Boy Scouts in a knit dress, maybe. Maybe Splay can do another embarrassing display, turning most women off. This is crazy. The whole thing is nuts. 855-407-2822. David on WABC, line 4. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Savage. Just a quick comment about John McCain. People are hesitant to criticize him because he's a war hero. I just wanted to point out that doing something heroic. It's just one act that he did. I shouldn't say one act, make it plain like that, but heroic doesn't make you a hero. Just because he did something heroic doesn't give him...
That is correct. Just because he may have been a hero, let's say he was a hero. Let's say I disagree with Trump, that although he got captured, he was still a hero because he survived 5 years of torture by the sensitive Vietnamese. Let's say he is a hero. That doesn't make him for a good politician. I've said that 100 times. People say to me, oh, he's a great general, this one. I said, that means nothing in terms of politics. He may be excellent in the military and very poor in the political world. How many of these guys have gone on talk radio and died within a day or two, or a week or 2 weeks? They were wonderful in the military and terrible on radio. Or they were wonderful in the Senate and terrible on radio. One field has nothing to do with another. I agree with you. McCain is a horrendous human being and a horrendous senator. And we're all afraid to say a word for him. Oh, you can't attack him because he had brain cancer. Why can't you attack him? He came out and was worse than before. Isn't that what you're saying?
Yeah, and also, not just that, say he has brain cancer. It's people who are sicker than him, what he did to them. I'm saying, and then would you worry about him, his brain cancer?
You mean by not repealing Obamacare and leaving the death panels in place, he actually did people who were sicker than him a disservice?
Yeah.
That's interesting. That's a very clever viewpoint. Very, very insightful. Do you like that I'm in Los Angeles or not? Would you rather I be back in San Francisco?
I'm not like a radio junkie, but I like wherever I can hear, I like.
All right. What if I give you a free copy of Trump's War? Would you read that?
I sure would.
Well, the movie star is getting one. You may as well get one. Stay in the line. Jim, please get his name and number. What about Mr. Scaramouche? By the way, I want you to do something for fun. When I first heard the name Scaramucci, it's a very colorful name. I mean, let's be clear. I knew right away there was a literary reference to Scaramouche. It was a character in an opera. Do you know that? Raise your hand if you knew that. How many of you are very literate and know opera at all? Who's the Scaramouche character? Let's do it that way. Let's have a little contest. Whoever can tell me. Oh, now they're going to Google it. Don't do this. No, everyone will get the answer. Forget it. Scaramouche is a character in an opera. Which opera and what character is it? And I don't know that the character is different from the character in the White House right now. Billy on WABC, welcome to the program.
There was a Scaramouche also on a song. I can't remember the name of it. I believe it was Queen. Am I correct? And this is what man.
Wait. So he was on a song, a Scaramouche on a song.
You never done. I'm gonna let me think of it. Scaramouche, will you do the Fandango? Do you remember that song, Dr. Savage?
Which song?
Scaramouche. I believe it was by Queen.
I lived in Queens. I don't know what Queen is a musician, right?
No. Queen was. Remember Queen? The Queen.
Now you lost me already. What does this have to do with anything? Tell me about what you think about Scaramucci being brought in. Was it a good move or a bad move?
A terrible move. I don't know why President Trump brought this nut into the White House.
There you go. Now that's what I like to hear. I like to hear something real, one from the heart. That's what I want to hear on talk radio. Talk to me like you would a guy. Talk to me like you would a guy in your own house. I don't know why Trump brought a nut like him in. That's what I want to hear on talk radio.
Surrounding himself with nothing but nuts, one right after the other. He keeps shooting himself in the...
I know. Maybe he's trying to neutralize one nut with another nut.
Let me tell you something. My father knew him very well. My father knew his father. My father spoke to me about Donald Trump, how he was when he was young, and I really don't care. I'll stick with him. But if he continues to play these games, what's going on here, and keeps shooting himself in the foot, listen, let's get tax cuts. Forget about health care. That's a dead issue. If they don't repeal the whole damn thing, they're never going to get nowhere. Move on to tax cuts. Move on to the economy.
Well, let me make a little prediction for you. They're not even going to get the tax cuts in the way we want them. And then he's going to attach the... did you read the other day that son of a gun Bannon wants to tax the rich? Did you see that?
I saw that. Let me tell you something. If he don't get it...
If that crazy SOB Bannon pushes the president to tax the rich, that's the death of the Republican Party for 100 years. Thank you for the call. What do you mean tax the rich? That means every business owner in America is going to be taxed another 4%. I thought Trump was going to lower the corporate tax rate to 20%, 25 top. I thought that those who earned the most because they worked the hardest and are the smartest would get a tax break so they can invest their money, whether it's in buying luxury goods. Remember, someone makes the luxury goods. Somebody sells the luxury goods. Someone services the luxury goods. Never forget that money is spent. And when money is spent, there are jobs. And when you start attacking those who make money, you're no longer a conservative. You are the opposite of a conservative, which tells me everything I wanted to know about Bannon. I think he was put there to undermine Trump. I think Bannon is in there to undermine his message. I think Bannon is secretly on the other side of the aisle, and we'll soon find out how right or wrong I am. WAAV in North Carolina. Adam, welcome to the Savage Nation. Line 4, go ahead, please.
How you doing, Michael?
You know, I just gave a whole aria, and you asked me how I'm doing. How do you think I'm doing?
I think you're doing excellent, man. I love your show. Listen to it every day.
Now that's what I want to hear. All I want to hear is I'm doing great.
I've been keeping up with this Scaramucci fella, and let me tell you, I do not like this guy. Like, he is not fit.
What is it you don't like about him? The fact that he's too perfectly dressed and he's too much in love with himself, the hairdo, the suit?
Mouth like a sailor, and what you need when you get in front of the cameras and you're representing the White House and you're representing the president, you need to have a little bit of finesse. You need to be able to know how to talk and handle these people.
Okay, right. And why did he call the New Yorker? What did he think would happen? What does that show good judgment to call the New Yorker?
Oh Lord, no! I wouldn't even call the New Yorker. You know, it's like, my goodness.
Well, I tell you, the New Yorker did a profile on me in 2008, so I like the New Yorker for the profile they did on me. But other than that, I don't like the New Yorker. I only like the profile of me. But why would he call the New Yorker and not expect them to stab him in the back and leak what he said to them, cursing like that? Did you actually read what he said?
Yeah, I read it yesterday, and I read some more.
But did you believe the language he used?
I couldn't believe
I cannot repeat this on the radio show. So let me ask you about some of the other characters on Trump's ship. Who else do you think should go?
There's no question about it. Bannon should go. I was listening to you earlier, and you said, you think Bannon probably working for the other side of the aisle. No question about it. Like, the man, it seems like he's got some vendetta against just anything. And
yes, it seems Bannon is such a miserable human being and so jealous of those with money that he would violate the entire campaign of Trump to attack those who supported Trump the most.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So really, come on, let's get down and dirty here. Who else should Trump fire?
Who else should Trump fire?
Who should he fire?
Oh, my goodness. Put me on the spot there.
How about Kellyanne Conway? Do you like her displaying herself in front of men?
Well, I liked her at the beginning, but now I don't like her too much. But her head's gotten big, and it's like she's become...
She's in it for herself. She's another one building her career for a post-Trump position. She thinks she's gorgeous when she isn't. She thinks she's going to be a great star on television, which she will for about a week, and then she'll be dropped to obscurity. She does not have the brains to become a commentator. I think she has undermined Trump from the beginning with her own self-aggrandizement. She's an embarrassment to him.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And they've got this Kushner fella. Don't quite like.
Oh, well, let's not even go there. I mean, forget about it.
Like, not at all. He looks like a slimy individual.
The problem with Kushner is he has no expression on his face.
Yeah.
He has a blank look on his face, which means he's got a mask on at all times. And when he finally spoke, we heard a squeaky voice, a Metro voice. The whole package is not selling in America. It's not even selling in New York, let alone west of the Hudson River.
Lord knows. Lord knows.
Look, it's well known look, let's be clear. Kushner is well known as a New York liberal. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. So what is he doing in the administration as one of the main people? What is that about? How can he be expected to enact the Trump agenda when he doesn't believe in any of it?
That's right.
Well, all right. Look, I know that I shouldn't say some of these things because it's going to alienate the president from me, and I don't want him to be alienated from me, but I can't help it. My audience comes first, not my having dinner in the White House. I mean, you want to have a dinner in the White House and then you go on the air and make believe that you're independent. You're not fooling anybody.
I know it. And the thing about it is, like, whenever Trump was running for president, he did a lot for the campaign.
I'm sending you a copy of Trump's War, which I gave to the movie star today down here in Hollywood. You know, it's a big weekend coming up. I'm ready to go home already. I got here yesterday. I'm ready to go home tomorrow already. One day in Hollywood, I can't wait to go back to my little grass shack in Kealakekua, Hawaii, so to speak. And my dog got sick the night I left. Don't ask. You want that story? You want to hear about that? It's terrible, an aging dog. I had it once before. It's awful. It's like a person in an old age home. I got up 4 in the morning. I told you the skunk from the week before, right? Well, I don't want to distract you with the Teddy story. It's very sad to see a spunky little mascot of the Savage Nation getting old and sick. It's wearing on me. It's wearing me out. I got to tell you the truth. Because you know what? We see ourselves in our dog. And that's the problem. And the reason God has them die before us, as a wise woman once said to a little child who was crying as a dog died, she said, "Don't cry, honey." And the girl said, "Why does God make dogs die before us? That's not fair." And the wise woman said, "Honey, if we died before them, there would be nobody there to care for them, which is why God made them live shorter than we do." I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Welcome back to the Savage Nation. We're talking about Trump, the madness inside the White House, Scaramucci going off like a boiler room operator, and then, you know what I'm saying, boiler room, you know what I'm talking about? The guy is a top-flight hedge fund operator, and he comes off sounding like he ran a boiler room in Syosset. Not good. Now, I got to tell you about scammers because they found a new way to trick you. It's called smishing. Smishing. Smishing is the new phishing, similar to phishing emails. Now they're hitting you with text messages. Instead, fraudulent messages could appear to come right from your bank or credit card company, and they can ask you for a reply right away. Don't do it. Scammers could be trying to steal your identity or access your bank accounts with your personal data. Please always call to verify alerts before clicking on links. Someone's identity happens to be stolen every 2 seconds. Thieves could sell your information on the dark web or get an online payday loan in your name. LifeLock detects a wide range of identity threats. If there's a problem, a U.S.-based identity restoration specialist will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. We know that. So please act now. Get the added protection of Norton Security for free for the first year when you bundle Norton and LifeLock memberships. Plus, for a limited time, you'll also get a special 15% discount off the first year of your LifeLock membership. All you're going to do is call 1-800-LifeLock or go to LifeLock.com. Use promo code SAVAGE15. That's SAVAGE15 to save 15% today. Terms apply. 1-800-LifeLock.com. This is the Savage Nation. 1-800-1-800-1-800. What's my number? 855-400-SAVAGE. We're talking about all the topics of the day, the madness inside the White House. John on KSFO. You like Mr. Scaramucci. Tell us why.
I actually do. It's a pleasure to talk with you, Mike. I've been listening to you for about a year now. I feel like he's humanizing the White House. For years now, we've looked at political correctness in the wrong way. We look at these people like they're elites, like they're better than us. And at the end of the day, I think people are just fed up with it. We're sick of the fakeness. The way he spoke, it's like you said, like somebody in a boiler room, is exactly who Trump supporters are. The boiler room type of people. I have 2 degrees. I went to Georgetown. Wait a minute.
Okay, hold on. I'm not questioning you. You're telling me the Trump supporters, basically the demo is like those who run boiler rooms in Syosset?
No, I'm not saying they're exactly like them, but we use that type of language, and that type of language doesn't bother us. What we're into is results.
I understand, but Scaramucci was brought in to clean house, and now they need someone to bring in to clean him.
Scaramucci was brought in to bring competition. In business, it's good to have people competing.
So, in other words, you think this is part of Trump's strategy to turn one against the other?
Absolutely, Trump is always being strategic.
All right, let's say that's his strategy. That was his strategy in business. My position, this is not a business. He's running a country. And although there are elements of a business in running a country, there's a certain other element that's not found in business called class and style. And this is not playing well across America. I'm sorry. It is not playing well across America. It's making them look like a bunch of dummies. And it's not going to work during the election.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE. Savage. Warning. The Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
Take me down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, take me home.
Down to the paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty.
That's a really great song. Guns N' Roses kick off the Savage Nation hour number 2. So I had the breakfast this morning, I'll say it again, with the top conservative movie star. And then as I was driving back on Mulholland Drive, early morning, because I told him I had to do the show today. He's between things. And it was pretty empty coming back. And I was in the Hellcat on this windy road, put on the music, and it was a local rock station. And this is the song that was on. Did you ever get one of those moments in your car, and they're so seldom right now in my life, where suddenly you're 18, 19, 20 years old again, and you're flying in your car, you feel great. I wasn't speeding. I was just driving. Just everything was perfect. The car, the man, the road, the view, the birds, the clouds. I had that. And now I'm back to earth again. The man who fell to earth. Welcome to the Savage Nation. How do you capture those things and put them in a bottle and drink them when you need them? How? I guess that's called poetry. It's called art. It's called sculpture. It's called painting. It's called music. What do you think the artist is doing but capturing moments that are as elusive as a breeze, right? But then again, I don't want to get too far afield. I want to stick to the meat and potatoes of the show. Although to me, the dream is also the meat and potatoes of the show, truthfully, because all men dream, even the pipe fitter. Even the guy running a boiler room in Syosset, New York, who's scamming everybody with fake stocks. You know what a boiler room is, right? They run up penny stocks and steal money from everybody and make millions of dollars. Yeah, right. Even they once in a while still dream when they're off the coke. In between the coke and the coffee, they're probably still a human being somewhere. So we're talking about crazy things today. And one of the craziest things is what appearances appear to be in the White House. I know many of you say it's good that he's real and he's this and he's that. But at a certain point, let me tell you something, the average American, they're not you. The diehard is not you. I mean, the diehard is not the average person. Even those who might be a little oriented towards fiscal conservatism, they don't like the mayhem in the White House. They don't like the brawling in the White House. They don't like what seems to be an out-of-control situation in the White House. They want order. Most people, by the way, crave order in their lives because the world is so chaotic. They look for order some places, right? And where's the order in our life today? Where do we turn for order? Well, maybe we stopped looking for order in the political world a long time ago. Do we look for order in the church? I don't know. Look at what's going on with the Pope, a disordered Pope who sounds more like Bernie Sanders than he does like a man of God. Now, I don't think people turn to the Pope for order. Maybe they turn to Jesus, and maybe they turn to the eternals of religion for their order. In the Jewish tradition, it would be the Torah. In the Jewish tradition, it would be the acts of the everyday life that keep them going through the ages. In Buddhism, where do they turn for order? But the point is, I don't want to get too philosophical here, because it always leads us to places we don't want to go. The White House seems to be out of order, in plain English. And we know everybody wants Trump to fail. And we know there are enemies within his own camp. We know that there are people playing both sides inside that White House. We know that there are people who are so self-aggrandizing, they're only in it for the after job. You've heard about the after party, right? There are people who are so nakedly in it only for the TV job, the book deal. After they're out of the White House, it's nauseating to watch the spectacle. And we all know who they are. It doesn't matter whether they're wearing a knit dress or a knit hairpiece. It's one and the same, and they don't belong there. And I've said this before, appearances matter. Appearances count. And, you know, having said that, I'm going to go back to the breakfast I had with the movie star today. We were talking for maybe 15 minutes, and then again he brought up, have you heard Donald Trump's Holocaust Memorial speech from this year? I said, no, I didn't. He said, I'll play it for you. So he searched on his iPhone, I'm eating the eggs, in the coffee shop that was empty. And he turned it on low, and he started to play it. And as I was listening to it, I said, hey, this is the Trump that we voted for. This is the Trump we wanted to run the world. This guy has the power, the leadership. What happened here? Why is he not giving these great speeches? He said, Michael, that's my point. He is. He is still giving the great speeches, but the vermin in the media that you so aptly use won't show these great speeches. They only want to show the chaos. I said, that's an interesting point. I said, I ought to play a little of the statesman-like speech that I heard today. I'm going to play for you, what time is it now? 10 after, roughly, 11 after? I want you to listen to the Holocaust Memorial speech that Trump gave on April 25th, 2017, that the rat vermin in the media would not let you hear. Instead, they want you to hear about John McCain stabbing Trump in the back. Let's listen for a minute. Let's hear it.
I'm deeply moved to stand before those who survive history's darkest hour. The Nazis massacred 6 million Jews. 2 out of every 3 Jews in Europe were murdered in the genocide. Millions more innocent people were imprisoned and executed by the Nazis without mercy, without even a sign of mercy. Yet even today, there are those who want to forget the past. Worse still, there are even those filled with such hate, total hate, that they want to erase the Holocaust from history. Those who deny the Holocaust...
And this is great stuff, and I'm not going to play the 15-minute speech. You can find it yourself. It's from April 25th, 2017. This is the Trump that I'm waiting for every day. This is the Trump I want to see every day. This is the Trump I know is there. And I don't want to see the chaos. I don't want to see the disorder. Last week, I told you I'd seen the movie Dunkirk, and then I played Churchill for you. I showed you what great speeches are like. And I said we need more Churchill from Trump. Badly need more Churchill from Trump. He's got it in him. That's the point. And I think the people around him, I blame them. They're misleading him. They're misleading him into areas he shouldn't even be going. Like, what is he attacking people on the television for? Why is he attacking media people? That's not the job of a president, publicly anyway. That's not his level. You don't attack people so far below you, they're like ants crawling underneath your shoes. He should be talking about the global things. He should be inspiring us and all those in the world who are looking for inspiration from America, the greatest nation on earth. That's my opinion. And that's what I would advise him. Donald Trump, please go back to who you really are. Don't be distracted by the jesters around you. Don't be distracted by those with knives out for you behind their own back. They smile to your face and they leak while you sleep. No, my friends, it's not very good right now. The phone number is 855-407-282. And then we were talking the other day about the trans in the military thing, and I want to clarify something. There was a comment from a listener on the trans ban on my on michaelsavage.com, and he wrote, there are 47 pages of medical conditions that may prevent you from joining the military. The military makes all manner of considered decisions based on medical or physical fitness or a lack of it. If you're a male under 5 foot, you go to work for MSNBC. If you have significant allergies to wool or peanut butter, you go to work for CNN. If you have allergies to gluten, you don't go. If you need meds for ADHD, you're not in. If you're an insulin-dependent diabetic, if you need a CPAP machine. The list is very long. And he says this is especially so for anyone who needs continuous medication that would create an issue on combat deployments or in case of isolated duty or if captured, what have you. Can you imagine a transvestite being captured by a Muslim fanatic? Can you imagine what they would do to them? You think they would give them the hormones necessary for them to continue their gender reassignment? I doubt very much that they would follow the rules. He says many thousands more military applicants are rejected or released for these myriad reasons that are at issue for being transgender. So he says, so the question is, why should transgender people get special, elevated consideration over all the other categories of persons whose medical needs do not square with the need for an effective fighting force? Why must they always, everywhere, in every way be accommodated? Now, hold on, one other thing. Wait, give me a minute. I'm going to run across the room, and I'm going to show you something, how disorderly our society is. On the plane coming down here, I picked up USA Away. The headline of all things going on in the world, in bold caps, transgender troops in limbo. That became their number one story. If that does not show you the mental insanity of liberalism, the headline on USA Today, of all the stories in the world, the number one headline, banner headline, transgender troops in limbo. This is how perverted and distorted the media has become. This shows you that their optic chiasma is upside down, that it was severed somewhere along the way. They don't even have an idea, any idea whatsoever about what's important in the world. They take a newspaper, and that's the number one story? Not North Korea's nukes? No, the biggest story is transgender troops in limbo. Now, whether or not you agree with that issue or whatever you stand on it, it is not the most important story in America, by the way. I'm running late. It's the Savage Nation. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm having a good time. Thoughts on Trump. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Is the Savage Nation. If you care to comment and reach more people than you have talked to or will talk to for the rest of your many lives, the phone number is 855-400-7282. Even if you're reincarnated 10 times over, you'll never reach more people than you will in the few minutes or seconds that you get on the Savage Nation. The AQH is about the size of the largest football field by twice in the country. So that means figure the biggest football stadium in the country and double it, and that's the size of the audience you're going to get every 15 minutes on this show. That's a lot of people, so you can influence a lot of people. Think carefully and call. Don't be overwhelmed, though. Steve on WABC, what do you think is going on with the turmoil in the Trump White House? Why is this happening?
Well, I think we're getting what we expected of people who weren't part of the swamp. The only problem is they don't have the clout in government because they're not part of the swamp. So it's coming back to bite them, being different. They don't have the people to help them get through.
In other words, by attacking the swamp creatures,
yes,
we're getting the chaos?
Well, they alienate themselves from him because he put himself against, number one, the media, number two, the FBI, number three, the CIA, number four, should I go down the list?
No, I know what you're saying. He turned the whole world against him, which is what we wanted. Unfortunately, no single man can take on the world. And I think Donald Trump is coming to realize that.
Well, I think it's imploding on him. He is overwhelmed. He doesn't have the help.
Now, that's the big problem. He is a leader. He has the brains and the ability to be a great leader. but he doesn't have the staff around him to help him lead.
Did you ever?
The staff around him is wholly inadequate for the job. He took an obscure website operator. No one had heard of him 6 months before the election. I don't care what he says. He was not there for him in 2010, 2011. He did nothing for him until the election was around the corner. The other one with the dress that's displaying herself every other day like a vulgarian. Where was she a year before? No one ever heard of her. They should not be the intimate advisors. And I'll go a step further. He is listening to somebody in the media who has no college education. That doesn't mean he's stupid, but he's not equipped for the bigger story here. And he's listening to him.
Well, he needs the help. He needs advice.
He has people around him without the proper education in plain English. He seems to be turning to people without higher education, with rare exception. By the way, Scaramucci is a graduate of Harvard Law School. Did you know that?
Yes, but he comes off as being Tony from the Bronx.
I know. This is the interesting part. He is a Harvard Law graduate and quite a successful stockbroker, let's put it that way, hedge fund operator. And yet he's acting like a guy out of The Sopranos. Now, that may be funny for a sitcom, but it doesn't seem to effuse the sense of calm and order in the most important office in the world. The whole world is waiting for us to guide them. We've got leaders in the Middle East who are desperately in need of our help and our guidance. And we don't see the chaos in Egypt. We don't see the chaos in Jerusalem that we see in the White House. Why is that? The leader of Egypt, for example, is a brave, intelligent, great general. He's facing every enemy known to mankind, including worse enemies, because he's got Islamists who would like to execute him. And yet we don't see chaos like that in Egypt, in Cairo. We don't see chaos like that in Jerusalem, in Tel Aviv, rather. Why do we have such chaos here? Because the people around Trump are not up to this job.
They haven't been there. They don't have the people in politics to help them. Who's on his...
So your point is that it's a two-edged sword. They came to the office just because specifically they were not part of the swamp, but now they can't get anything done because they have no alliances, in plain English.
Have you ever seen a president group so many people together so quickly, leaders of different countries, companies from all around the United States? He got the stock market going. He got the verve. He got the excitement. He got the possibility of the America spirit getting back to where we were supposed to be. And nobody helps him. Are they out for us? Are they out for what? Who are they out for?
Well, who are you saying about they? The people around him or the opponents in the swamp?
The opponents in the swamp. Why aren't they?
Well, we know the opponents in the swamp are anti-American, out for themselves. I don't care what their title is, they're out for themselves. But what about the people around Trump? What about that?
He's got their agenda. Who follow the money? Why is Jared there?
Oh, now you're bringing up a very sensitive issue. It seems too many of them are looking for the after party. They're not worried about running the party. They're worried about the after party. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Look, I'm known as the architect of Trumpomania. That's well known. There have been other supporters and other books. But no single book defined the Trump presidency better than Trump's War, and still the best book on the subject. And to sit and bellyache about this for day after day is not the answer. I'm an idea man, but I'm a solutions man. I want to read you some of my solutions from Trump's War. Tell me if you agree with them, because I believe this battle plan is the best out there. If there's something better, let me know about it. On the economy, cut taxes, unshackle American corporations and citizens. Quit NAFTA at once, just as he did with TPP. Employment mandate for America. Foreigners need not apply. Immediately rebuild infrastructure through private investment. On repealing Obamacare, look what I wrote. Recognize that the healthcare system was broken before Obamacare and why. Fix the crony capitalist FDA. Mandate insurance availability for individuals across state lines. Raise the eligibility age of Medicare. Mandate copays for Medicare and Medicaid. Simple. I mean, I know the answers. Restoring our borders from Trump's war. World War III is being waged by undocumented, unvetted immigrants. Start fighting back. Purge our shores of enemy combatants and limit World War III to Europe. Build the border wall now. Fire the bleeding hearts at the Centers for Disease Control and restore sensible public health protocols. Abolish sanctuary cities and deport the illegal vermin who are killing our citizens. Now, Trump gave a speech just on that last point today on Long Island. A great speech, by the way. Okay, restoring our culture from Trump's war. Kill Common Core at the state level. Restore civics classes at the local level. Abolish the Department of Education. Use the bully pulpit to preach Americanism. Next, restoring the military. To beef up the military, man up the military. Help wounded warriors, not sexually confused enlistees. It's biology, not misogyny. Gender equality has no place in the armed services. Make the VA more transparent and accountable via the Accountability First and Appeals Modernization Act and the Caring for Our Heroes in the 21st Century Act. Is very clear, isn't it? Well, it's in my book. And these are all in the last few pages of Trump's war. Let me go on. Defeating the war machine. Stand firm on peace with Russia. Isn't it odd that cowards on the left want war with Russia? Isn't it odd that the people without children of military age want war with Russia? Isn't it odd that the people who would be frightened of a backfire of a truck want war with Russia? Isn't it sickening that psychopaths in the media and in the Democrat Party can't seem to get enough of hating Russia when our real enemy is not Russia? Isn't it odd how demented and deranged they are? Stand firm on peace with Russia. Destroy ISIS and then leave the Middle East. Bring our troops home from unnecessary deployments. I can hear the cheers right now. Defeating the rhinos. Isn't that a big one today? Ignore the think tanks on trade and the wall. Punish rhinos at the ballot box and primaries. Make sure the GOP doesn't mean grand old party, but government of the people. Let me repeat that. Make sure GOP doesn't mean grand old party, but government of the people. Listen to the next line in Trump's war, and you'll see why it's a bestseller. A2 Brutus, Trump must beware. A2 Brutus. I can fill in other names for Brutus. A2 Brutus, you too Brutus, Trump must beware. Restoring real science. Fund research by global warming skeptics. Promote conservatism over progressive environmentalism. Exercise caution and care in repealing environmental regulations. Restore real science at the NIH, CDC, and FDA. I can still help them do that. I would never leave radio, but boy, could I help him restore real science in the NIH, CDC, and FDA. But let me tell you something. The very same backstabbers around him will not even let me get near him with my ideas for fixing the NIH, CDC, and FDA. This is how bad they are. I can tell you stories one day that you'll never believe, and I know who they are. I can name the names of the people who will not let Trump hear what needs to be heard. They're all some of the worst people on the planet pretending to be conservatives, when a year or two ago they were the opposite. Opposite nobodies. Defending the First Amendment. Root out the socialist propaganda that Obama concealed in the National Defense Authorization Act. Jail anarchists who cross state lines to incite unrest. Shield religion from persecution by passing the First Amendment Defense Act. Next, I write defending the Second Amendment. The problem isn't guns. It's mass shooters armed with radicalism, drugs, and mental issues. Order public health agencies to conduct unbiased studies on the side effects of psychotropic drugs. That's a huge one. And finally, in Trump's war, my main solution, defeating the deep state. Study the global agenda of the intelligence community. Back Trump's plan to end the new Cold War with Russia. Learn how to recognize fake news. Really? Oh, the words fake news appeared in Trump's war before you heard it? How is that possible? You didn't hear about that on Fox News, did you? No, I am the architect of Trump's war. There's a lot more. In addition to his day one executive orders to pull out of TPP, defund international organizations that perform abortions, put a hiring freeze on non-military federal workers. Trump wrote subsequent orders to build the wall, defund sanctuary cities, hire 5,000 more border guards, and end the catch and release policy for illegal immigrants. That's a good thing. That and more was accomplished in the first days of Trump's presidency. It was a victory for you, the savage nation, who have supported my message of borders, language, and culture for more than 22 years. Make no mistake about it. Trump was reading from our playbook, and I say our playbook. I am proud to have done so much to get Donald Trump elected, but the war is just beginning. There will be more riots, more propaganda, more backroom betrayals, and more international intrigue from the globalists. Remember, it was God's will that this underdog, Donald Trump, defeated the vast armies of the New World Order. We must pray for him and for our nation while standing strong against the global forces of collectivism. Those are the last words of Trump's war, and they're good words. They're on the level I want them to be, and I'm very proud of that book. The phone number here is 855-407-282. If you get a comment on that, we have only one open line. Jim, clean up some other lines, please. We're stuck here on the Scaramucci. I can't have 50 Scaramucci calls for the rest of the day. But Frank on WABC wants to talk about something else. John on WABC wants to talk about something else. Joe on WABC wants to talk about something else. So either it's John, Joe, or Frank that I'm going to take. I don't know which one. Let's start at the top. John on WABC line 7. Go ahead, make your point.
Well, I feel bad because, everybody was talking about Scaramucci, but, I have to say I'm a bit biased here on Trump. I am sitting in the traffic that he caused out on Long Island today. But, if it pleases you, I wanted to talk a little bit about that comment you made earlier about Trump being presidential and speeches, that Trump that you missed, the one that you yearned for.
Well, go ahead, say it.
Well, you look at the man's timeline on Twitter, for instance, it's just a never-ending line of insults. You look for that presidential guy, but I wonder, has he ever been that person?
Well, wait a minute. This is it's an interesting point. I play the Holocaust Memorial speech, and it's very stirring. I remember the speech he gave in Melbourne, Florida. It was very moving. I remember the speech he gave in the Middle East. It was very moving. So which Trump is it right now that we are in trouble with? It's not the statesman-like Trump. It's the Twittering Trump. Isn't that true?
Oh, it's Twittering Trump, but you got to look at the stump Trump, too. It's I feel when he wants to be presidential, he knows how to tap it, or at least maybe he has a speechwriter that can tap it well. There's always something.
All right, fine. That's good enough. So who is it? Who do you think is encouraging to tweet day and night? I can tell you right now who I think it is.
Tell me. I'd love to hear your thoughts, and I'll give you...
Well, then I'm going to get attacked. It's somebody in the media who never went to college, who doesn't have the intellect to write anything, so all they can do is tweet, and he tweets all day long, and he's now the best friend of Donald Trump and advising him and having dinner with him. The guy is misguiding him. The guy is well known as a dummy in the media. Everyone knows him. He's a jealous dummy, and he's the one sitting there telling Trump to tweet day and night. There, I got it off my chest.
I know you got it off, and that's good, but I got to disagree, man. I've been watching Trump on Twitter for years. I think it's him. I think that this is how he fights back when he's got nothing left at his disposal. It's not like, because there's no point in even arguing. You're right. The media isn't going to give. They're not giving airtime to the good stuff. The things that other people would say are good.
So bottom line, should he stop tweeting or continue tweeting?
I don't think he can stop tweeting. If he stops tweeting, then are we going to be here talking anymore? That's the thing. That's how he speaks to the American people sometimes, right?
Well, I'm not sure that every American hangs on every tweet.
I don't know. Well, you know what?
I'm not sure that every Egyptian who wants democracy and doesn't want Islamism is waiting for Donald Trump's next tweet. I think they're waiting for a statesman to give a speech rather than for a tweet to come out. Not every Egyptian has an iPhone.
But I wonder if he's going to step up to that role of statesman or if he's always been the Twitter man.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if I was around him, I'd be telling him, be the statesman that you can be, and stop listening to the dummy who's telling you to be an 8th grader.
I don't know if anybody's telling him that, though.
No one's telling him that. Look at the sycophants around him. Take a look at them.
It's endless. But
well, John, look, we all want this president to succeed, don't we?
I do want the American presidency to succeed. I sometimes don't think he'll do it himself. I look at the people he surrounds himself with. Anybody who relies that much on a family member like Jared Kushner, who relies on his daughter to take meetings like this, I worry. I worry. I didn't make.
Now, you see, now you're raising another point. That's another issue of contention amongst his base of supporters. Had they known that Jared Kushner and his daughter, lovely people, very liberal people, would have had such prominent roles in his administration, he would have lost the election. They would not have come out and vote for him, in plain English. Am I wrong or right about that?
You know, I don't know how much the American people would not have liked a dynasty like that. I think people today hunger for it. Look at the rabid following of the Keeping Up with the Kardashian type folks. People like that dynasty.
Well, when you say people, you're talking about the dumbest level of society. You're talking about the stupidest people in the world, people who are not even worthy of the name human being, would follow a dumb family like that, whose only call to fame is surgery.
I don't know. I mean, people...
Surgery and sexuality, I get it. But that's not the American people. That's a certain segment of the American people. Generally low class, low education, low IQ people. I'm not saying that that's the constituency for Donald Trump, because I know a lot of people who are very intelligent who worked for him and love the guy. I thank you for the call. Listen, I'm sending you Trump's war to give to a friend. Stay on the line, because I think the solutions are in there. Here's what's going to happen. Seeing the rotating situation in the White House to date, all of these people who are around him now will be gone, whether it's in 6 months or a year. You mark my words, mark the date down. By next summer, they'll be gone. He'll be getting rid of the web operator. The knit dress girl will be going to a job on MSNBC, saying she was always a liberal. You'll wait and see. Watch. All of these people around him who are undermining his popularity amongst his core base are gone. And then you may have people entering the inner circle, the kitchen cabinet, if you want to call it in the Reagan terms, who will guide him in the right way, and he just might come to listen to them a year from now when things are even worse. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. Now. Well, it's summertime. You know what that's like. The middle of the night, you're tossing, you're turning, you're covered in sweat. You could run the AC, you could run a fan all night, but really, who wants to do that? Why don't you just instead get rid of your heat-trapping mattress and sleep as cool as the other side of the pillow feels like, as I do on my great Casper mattress. It's made of 2 high-tech foams which guarantee you sleep cool, comfortable, and fully supported every night. It ships for free in a box so small you won't believe it even holds a mattress. Casper does that so you can try it risk-free for 100 nights in your own house. You don't love it? They'll come pick it up and give you back all your money. How can you lose? From its breakthrough design and superior quality to its packaging and 100-night in-home trial, it's no wonder Casper was named one of Fast Company's 50 most innovative brands of 2017. So please try your Casper for 100 nights with free shipping and returns. Go to Casper.com, use code SAVAGE for $50 towards the purchase of this mattress. That's Casper.com, code SAVAGE, and you're going to get $50 towards the purchase of your mattress. Casper.com, terms and conditions apply. Marilyn on KSFO, fire away, you're on the air.
Hi, Michael. An honor to meet you. I'm an Italian, and I want you to keep this Italian Scaramucci in because he's there to help Trump. He's a Machiavellian. We need a Machiavellian to help drain the swamp. These goody two-shoes just can't do it. They're too soft. He's a passionate fighter. He can do it. He understands them.
All right, I hear that as well. He's tough as nails. I can see that, and smart as can be. He did graduate Harvard Law School. He's not a street guy. He has the shrewdness of a street guy with the brains of an intellectual, correct?
Right, and he's the only kind that can drain this kind of swamp.
Well, why doesn't he start by draining the swamp inside the Oval Office?
Well, maybe he can, but you've got to give him a chance. I don't want you to undermine.
Why doesn't he put a trap door in the Oval Office and let the creature slither out who got in there who never belonged there to begin with? He ought to start with a sewer drain in the Oval Office first, and not worry so much about the New Yorker. He ought to start worrying about the who's under the desk there in the executive office rather than who's in the New Yorker's office.
Well, I think he's going to do that because he's clever enough to be able to. Machiavelli did it, so I'm sure he's going to.
I hope you're right. I wish him the best. I don't like him using language like that to a liberal reporter and expect that not to leak. Do you think he wanted that to leak?
No, I don't, but I think that he's learned his lesson, and that's how.
Well, he made a mistake already. For a smart guy who's supposed to be smarter than everybody, he already stepped on his own foot by using such foul language with a refined reporter from the New Yorker. I appreciate it. Let me send you a copy of Trump's War, which has all the great plans we need that you could possibly need. Today we're talking about the fact that I'm in Los Angeles at my studio down here. I told you about my breakfast with a top conservative movie star and his thoughts and my thoughts on Trump. I played you the Savage Holocaust Memorial speech that he played for me, which was very surprising. I never thought he's not Jewish, by the way, incidentally. I've read you the battle plan from Trump's War. I've told you that another Muslim has gone on another killing spree in Germany in a supermarket. And the Germans, having been destroyed by Merkel, are saying the motive is unknown. I guess they never read the Holy Book. This is the Savage Nation. Be here or be nowhere. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of borders, language, culture. And here he is, winner of the National Radio Hall of Fame Award, Michael Savage.
Take me down to a paradise city where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Yeah, yeah.
All right, it looks like we have a White House shakeup. White House shakeup. White House shakeup. Trump just fired Reince Priebus, who will now go rolling off into the sunset, no doubt with a big book deal, and become a spokesman for the Republican National Backstabbing Committee, probably on MSNBC, as a special consultant. And in his place as chief of staff, we have General Kelly from DHS. Four-star Marine general, can't hurt. He tends to be a little liberal, but nevertheless, he's a four-star Marine general. He knows how to get things done, and he's a tough guy, and Priebus was not a tough guy. Maybe he was a nice guy. I don't know anything. Who's really a nice guy who gets to that level? No one's nice. What do you think about Trump firing Priebus and putting in General Kelly? Is he the right man for the job? Can you trust General Kelly in the position of chief of staff? It's a huge job, right? Reince Priebus, the RNC Trump chief. And I told you from the get-go, I told you from day one, maybe I wasn't the only one. You don't have to be a genius to know who Reince Priebus was. He was there to make sure the RNC had their agenda front and center no matter what Trump did. So he finally got rid of Brutus, in plain English. I mean, let's be clear. I don't know Reince from a hole in the wall. I met him once when I was there, and he was a nice enough guy. He was complimentary, but I mean, I didn't trust him. I knew he was RNC. He came from the RNC, the Republican National Committee. What do you think he was going to do? He undermined Trump at every step of the way. Thrown out, gone with the wind. 6 months pushed out today in the latest convulsion in a chaos-racked West Wing, to which he has repeatedly failed to bring some semblance of order. New York Times write, convinced that Priebus was not strong enough, Trump has talked about bringing in a general as chief of staff, and he did today just choose John Kelly, the retired Marine four-star general serving as Secretary of Homeland Security. Some of his advisors oppose that idea, arguing that Mr. Trump needs someone more in tune with the nationalist political movement that helped propel him to the White House. Nonsense. That's, in my opinion, only one person who's opposing Kelly, and he's not long for the job, and that's the web operator. The web operator finally has someone who can put him in his place, a four-star Marine general. Because, the web operator may be a tough guy, but he's not as tough as a four-star Marine general. Let me put it to you that way. And I think that if anyone can move this guy out and stop the undermining, it's him. So Trump tweeted, I'm pleased to inform you that I've just named General Secretary John F. Kennedy as the White House Chief of Staff. He's a great American. I could do without the great American line. That's for talk show hosts who aren't. But nevertheless, good for him. Mr. Priebus, a former chairman of the RNC, lost his job hours after the president's signature drive to repeal his predecessor's health care program collapsed on the Senate floor. That's because of the backstabbing Manchurian candidate McCain. The announcement capped a fraud 24 hours in which the president's advisors waited for a change they had long anticipated. This is an interesting part of the story. Priebus accompanied Trump on Air Force One for a day trip to Long Island as his fate was being decided. Making for a tense flight, his rival Anthony Scaramucci, the communications director who had publicly vowed to force Priebus's resignation, was also on the plane and in the motorcade. Oh, my God, this is like a play now. See, he's gone. He'll get the book. He'll get the speaking engagements. He'll go back to the RNC. Look, he's a middle-of-the-road, not a bad guy. Let me be very clear. Priebus was not a bad guy. Let's not make him a villain or an enemy. He was a conventional Republican, middle-of-the-roader, and the president never should have put him in that position. Because if he wanted to drain the swamp, he couldn't bring in the guy who ran the swamp in plain English. That's all. You want plain English? I gave you plain English. You bring in a guy who ran the swamp for the RNC. You're going to drain the swamp? He's a good man, though. Nice man. He's a native of Kenosha, Wisconsin. Priebus rose from the ranks of the Republican Party to be a state's chairman. He's no dummy. He was a great operator within the National Party, which means he's pretty smart and pretty Machiavellian. One of his top allies, by the way, was Paul Ryan, a fellow Republican from Cheeseland, who publicly defended Priebus on Thursday when no one in the White House would. So he's like a George Bush type of staffer in plain English. We read that Jared Kushner, the president's son-in-law and senior advisor, soured on Priebus because he viewed Spicer's shortcomings. Other senior advisors bristled at his demeanor or suspected he was undermining him. An alliance of convenience with Bannon, the nationalist, and decidedly anti-establishment chief strategist seemed to fade in recent weeks. You know what? I don't buy the nationalist and anti-establishment chief strategist line at all. I'm starting to think there's a little more to that story that'll come out in time. We'll need a little time to see where the politics really are. Well, let's look for the after party to see what Steve Bannon's real political orientation is. Let's look for the after party. Then we'll know what the real game is here. Originally a sharp critic of Trump as a candidate, Priebus donated to and voted for Democrats like President Barack Obama and supported gun control and abortion rights and same-sex marriage. What? And opposed the death penalty and criticized those who call climate. Oh, no, wait a minute. Sorry, got that wrong. That's Scaramucci, no less. This is very bad. I saw this the other day. I don't like this at all. It turns out that Scaramucci, who you think is this tough Italian guy who's going to work for Trump, donated to and voted for Democrats like Obama. Scaramucci supported gun control. Scaramucci supported abortion rights. Scaramucci supported same-sex marriage. Scaramucci opposed the death penalty. Scaramucci criticized those who call climate change a hoax. So watch out for the next rolling ball that fall off the deck there. Let's see. Roger Stone, Mr. Trump's off-and-on advisor, was not happy with Kelly's pick. Roger Stone said the president needs someone who understands the Trump constituency. As his chief of staff, someone who has both administrative skills and political savvy. I guess he was talking about himself. Looks like Roger Stone wanted the job. Other names that have been floated around include Gary Cohn from Goldman Sachs, Dina Powell, the Deputy National Security Advisor. Glad she didn't pick her. Both veterans of Goldman Sachs. And close to Mr. Kushner and Ivanka Trump. All right, so Kelly, is he the right man or the wrong man? I'll take some calls on that. Anthony on WABC. Are you for or against Kelly as the chief?
I'm against it, Dr. Savage, and here's why. I think this is a knee-jerk reaction by President Trump. You need someone as a chief of staff that's going to work both houses. Reince Priebus, I thought was a big mistake, and I think this is a knee-jerk. Kelly, General Mattis, and Tillerson, I think those were his strong points, and he just pulled Kelly off Homeland Security, and he stuck him in this position. I think it's a big mistake. It's a loser.
So now the question is, who's he going to put into Homeland Security? I mean, Homeland Security is driving out MS-13. Now, Homeland Security is cracking down on the border. Homeland Security has been doing a crackerjack job. Who's he going to put in there now?
That's what I'm saying, Dr. Savage. I think it's a big mistake. He has three solid picks: Tillerson, the Defense Secretary, and Kelly, and now you have Trump administration with no full-time FBI director. You have no Homeland Security director. There's all these positions that still need to be filled, and this is a knee-jerk.
Well, I can name a few people who could go right into DHS. I mean, if Giuliani wanted the job, he'd be great, wouldn't he? Yeah. Stop yelling at your child on the show. It's a national talk show. Thanks for calling. No, Giuliani would be good if he could clean up the squeegee men in the streets of Manhattan. Giuliani can clean up the squeegee men coming over the border with drugs. He can squeeze the squeegee men. What do you think? Is Kelly a perfect pick or not? Mike on KSVO, you like Kelly, right? Why?
I love it. Absolutely. Many reasons. First, the gobbler and the barfly, their knees are going to be shaken soon.
You actually listened to me. You called him the gobbler and the barfly. You actually listened to my show.
Hey, listen, Dr. Michael, I'm a prophet. I listen to you like no one. But this is what it's about. On the same day that North Korea is firing something, this happens. It's no coincidence. Not only are we setting a tone here as a country, but they will fill Homeland Security just fine. Don't you worry. But this is something where we're cleaning house. No one comes into this position as a non-politician and does it perfectly out of the gates. So it's the Derby. He's through the opening of the gates. He's rounding the turn. He's making it better. Absolutely perfect. We're talking Desert Storm experience. We're talking what this country needs. We understand what John McCain wasn't, and here it comes. And like I said, the guy.
Why did you? I got to go back to something obscure because there's a little bit of Trump in me when it comes to getting distracted with people. Why do you call her barfly?
Well, of course I call her barfly because the prophet Dr. Michael Savage put that in my mind while I'm.
But wait, but when I said barfly, why did it stick? Is the question.
Well, because that's how she acts, that's how she dresses, and it's just makeshift. Like she thinks all of America is on board with her thoughts, and it's not that way.
Yes, she is such an egomaniac. It's frightening to watch. I don't like her self-satisfaction in her face. I've never seen anyone who gets up there and is so in love with herself and is so unattractive as her.
Well, the gobbler should be nervous too, because when you have a Marine in this capacity, this is the direction of our country. We still have 3+ years of this administration trying to win the next election. And, of course, does anyone even care that the GDP came out 2.6 today? This country is going forward, and we're going to talk about transgender? Give me a break. This man is...
So, in plain English, you make sense. You make sense. So you feel invigorated that General Kelly was put in as chief of staff?
Absolutely. On a Friday afternoon?
Does anyone know what the chief of staff actually does? Do you know that he controls who comes in and out of the White House? Do people know that?
The Radio Hall of Fame award for a reason. That's why we listen.
No, I got to say, this is very interesting. I got to tell you a story about, I think I can say it now that he's out. Shortly after I visited Mar-a-Lago and had the 60 or 90-minute ice cream summit with the president, Rinso came over and introduced himself, told me he was a big fan, grew up in Wisconsin, his father loved me. I was very impressed, and he gave me his personal email, his personal this and that. I emailed him a few times. I sent him Trump's war, and I said to him, the president asked for me to come to the White House to have dinner with him. Can you arrange it? He said, I absolutely will. He never got back to me on it.
No. Michael, Dr. Savage, it's coming. All of your objectives.
No, I don't need it. I don't even want it right now. I'm not ready to go east. I just traveled south. It's enough for me. To go from San Francisco to L.A. was upsetting enough. I don't need to go to the Potomac Swamp in order to feel good. Let me tell you that. What do you think? I want to go to the White House for dinner? I need that meal? What am I going to eat there? Meatloaf? Mashed potatoes? And ice cream? I don't even eat that food.
Go next. It's coming. It's coming.
All right. Do you want a copy of Trump's War with all my solutions to what ails America? Of course you do. Stay on the line. This is actually an interesting day. Rinso is out. I think he never talked to me because I called him Rinso. It was on the Drudge Report. I mean, it was in a way true. I called him Rinso instead of Rince previous. And I think that's why he never answered me after that. I mean, okay, look, there's only so much people can take. And I suspect I will not be invited to the Barflies party on Long Island that she might never have. But I'm not a fan of a woman who goes to a Boy Scout jamboree wearing a knit dress that you could see through and see her underwear. I'm sorry. I don't think that's too presidential to appear in front of thousands of young boys in a, what do you call it? A knit dress. A knit dress on a hot day where you could see the brawn panties. You want me to get down and you want me to do a Scaramucci on you? Disgusting. Disgusting. Who does that? Do you remember when all of the, I don't know, I can't go here with that. She once did something else where she was seen on a couch in the Oval Office with her legs behind her. That was it for me for Barfly. Why was she sitting on a sofa with all of those visiting men, by the way, with her legs behind her, with the skirt hiked up above the knees? This is in the Oval Office. On her iPhone, like she's an 8-year-old girl, like, oh, look at me. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I called her Splay every day since then. For obvious, go find that picture and tell me that calling Barfly Splay was wrong. Well, I guess I'm running late on time. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. I can't get enough of this. Grass is green and the girls are pretty. Yeah, right. That's all over here. There's nothing but green grass and pretty girls. Right. 72 virgins in the next world. They kill for that. It's crazy. They kill for that. White House shakeup. Priebus out. General Kelly becomes chief of staff. We've been talking about that's a big deal. Very big deal. But you know what? When this show is over in 30 minutes or so, the mic goes off, Skype goes off, Telos goes off, the boards go black, and there's still a full world out there, a whole day to fill, a whole night to fill, a whole Saturday to fill, a whole Sunday to fill. So I'm going to fill myself up with some scenery. I'm going to get into the Hellcat and drive on Mulholland Drive. Brings back a lot of memories to me, ladies and gentlemen. I never told you about it. Maybe I will another day. I don't want to bore you with the details, but when I was a wee lad, I once came out here. I'm talking a long time ago, and I visited Laura Archera Huxley, who was Aldous Huxley's widow. She gave me an audience. It was astounding. I was going to do a collected version of Aldous Huxley's screenplays, by the way. You won't believe this. And she agreed to see me, and I'll never forget as long as I live. She invited, I had a little broken-down car. I was coming down from Oregon on the way back to New York. Would you believe I drove back to New York in a Nash Metropolitan, I think, a little car. So we drove from Oregon to L.A., then from L.A. to New York. Anyway, I visited her, and she met me up at a house up on Mulholland Drive, and I'm talking in the 60s now, that had a swimming pool overlooking the valley. And when I stood there, I thought I was in paradise. You talk about paradise? I had never seen a swimming pool up in the sky until that day on Mulholland Drive. And I never forget to this day what it looked like. Of course, by today's standards, it was a nothing house, okay, compared to what people have today. But to me, it was that place where the grass is green and the women are pretty. And that was Mulholland Drive then, and today Mulholland Drive is another story. Anyway, thus far, it's amazing. North Korea fires a ballistic missile into Japan, and we're arguing over a White House shakeup, and we're going to have a milkshake tonight like nothing happened. China is bolstering its border, naval drill off the peninsula, but no, not a word from Nancy Pelosi, who doesn't even know where Korea is.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
We're talking about Trump the madness inside the White House. Scaramucci going off like a boiler room operator, and then, you know what I'm saying, boiler room, you know what I'm talking about? The guy is a top-flight hedge fund operator, and he comes off sounding like he ran a boiler room in Syosset. Not good. All right, let's say that was his strategy in business. My position, this is not a business. He's running a country. And although there are elements of a business in running a country, there's a certain other element that's not found in business called class and style. And this is not playing well across America. I'm sorry. It is not playing well across America. It's making them look like a bunch of dummies. And it's not going to work during the election. And then we were talking the other day about the trans in the military thing, and I want to clarify something. There was a comment from a listener on the trans ban on my on michaelsavage.com, and he wrote, there are 47 pages of medical conditions that may prevent you from joining the military. The military makes all manner of considered decisions based on medical or physical fitness or lack of it. If you're a male under 5 foot, you go to work for MSNBC. If you have significant allergies to wool or peanut butter, you go to work for CNN. If you have allergies to gluten, you don't go. If you need meds for ADHD, you're not in. If you're an insulin-dependent diabetic, if you need a CPAP machine. The list is very long. And he says this is especially so for anyone who needs continuous medication that would create an issue on combat deployments or in case of isolated duty or if captured, what have you. Can you imagine a transvestite being captured by a Muslim fanatic? Can you imagine what they would do to them? You think they would give them the hormones necessary for them to continue their gender reassignment? I doubt very much that they would follow the rules. He says many thousands more military applicants are rejected or released for these myriad reasons that are at issue for being transgender. So he says, so the question is, why should transgender people get special, elevated consideration over all the other categories of persons whose medical needs do not square with the need for an effective fighting force? Why must they always, everywhere, and every way be accommodated? And I have an article here that I'll read for you from a former transgender who thinks Trump made the right decision for the military. The article is entitled, I Was Once Transgender, Why I Think Trump Made the Right Decision for the Military, Walt Heyer in the Daily Signal. He said, when I discovered Congress voted earlier this month to not block funding for transgender-related hormone therapies and sex change surgeries, I wondered if they considered how devastating this will be to the fitness, readiness, and morale of our combat-ready troops. So they went into this. Perhaps, he writes, they have forgotten that our military was forged to be the world's strongest fighting force, not a government-funded, politically correct, medical sex change clinic for people with gender dysphoria. Gender dysphoria, the common diagnosis for one who feels at odds with his or her birth gender, develops from prolonged anxiety and depression. People are not born that way. The proof for a diagnosis of gender dysphoria is having strongly held feelings, but feelings can and often do change over time. The former transgender writes this, the military is expected to prepare its members in warfare to kill, destroy, and break our enemies. The most important factors in preparing for a strong military are not hormone therapy, not surgical sex changes, or politically correct education. We need psychologically fit, emotionally sound, highly trained troops to protect our nation from its enemies. This is from a former transgender who knows what's what about this. I'll read more about it. The person has over 70 years of firsthand life experience, 8 years of living as a woman, 20 years of researching the topic, and 12 years of helping others who, like him or her, found that transitioning and reassignment surgery failed to be proper treatment and want to restore their lives to their birth gender. Listen to someone who actually lived a life. But aside from what that person feels, the cost of this is overwhelming, which is why the ACLU wants it to break the military. Don't you understand who they are? Up to $130,000 per person for numerous body-mutilating cosmetic procedures over many months or years to remake the body to appear as the opposite sex. That is not the job of the military. That's the job of the University of California at Berkeley, a once great university, by the way, where I earned my PhD proudly when it was still a great university. It's become a cesspool because they catered to every crackpot and terrorist in the United States of America and the world. And so now they want to do it to the U.S. military. Now, hold on, one other thing. Wait, give me a minute. I'm going to run across the room. On the plane coming down here, I picked up USA Away. The headline of all things going on in the world, in bold caps, transgender troops in limbo. That became their number one story. If that does not show you the mental insanity of liberalism, the headline on USA Today, of all the stories in the world, the number one headline, banner headline, transgender troops in limbo. This is how perverted and distorted the media has become. This shows you that their optic chiasma is upside down, that it was severed somewhere along the way. They don't even have an idea, any idea whatsoever about what's important in the world. They take a newspaper, and that's the number one story, not North Korea's nukes. No, the biggest story is transgender troops in limbo. Now, whether or not you agree with that issue or whatever you stand on it, it is not the most important story in America, by the way. So I had the breakfast this morning, I'll say it again, with the top conservative movie star. And then as I was driving back on Mulholland Drive, early morning, because I told him I had to do the show today. He's between things. And it was pretty empty coming back. And I was in the Hellcat on this windy road, put on the music, and it was a local rock station. And this is the song that was on. Did you ever get one of those moments in your car, and they're so seldom right now in my life, where suddenly you're 18, 19, 20 years old again, and you're flying in your car, you feel great? I wasn't speeding. I was just driving. Just everything was perfect. The car, the man, the road, the view, the birds, the clouds. I had that. And now I'm back to earth again, the man who fell to earth. Welcome to the Savage Nation. How do you capture those things and put them in a bottle and drink them when you need them? How? I guess that's called poetry. It's called art. It's called sculpture. It's called painting. It's called music. What do you think the artist is doing but capturing moments that are as elusive as a breeze, right? But then again, I don't want to get too far afield. I want to stick to the meat and potatoes of the show. Although to me, the dream is also the meat and potatoes of the show, truthfully, because all men dream, even the pipe fitter. Even the guy running a boiler room in Syosset, New York, who's scamming everybody with fake stocks. You know what a boiler room is, right? They run up penny stocks and steal money from everybody and make millions of dollars. Yeah, right. Even they once in a while still dream when they're off the coke. In between the coke and the coffee, they're probably still a human being somewhere. So we're talking about crazy things today. And one of the craziest things is what appearances appear to be in the White House. I know many of you say it's good that he's real and he's this and he's that. But at a certain point, let me tell you something, the average American, they're not you. The diehard is not you. I mean, the diehard is not the average person. Even those who might be a little oriented towards fiscal conservatism, they don't like the mayhem in the White House. They don't like the brawling in the White House. They don't like what seems to be an out-of-control situation in the White House. They want order. Most people, by the way, crave order in their lives because the world is so chaotic. They look for order some places, right? And where's the order in our life today? Where do we turn for order? Well, maybe we stopped looking for order in the political world a long time ago. Do we look for order in the church? I don't know. Look at what's going on with the Pope, a disordered Pope who sounds more like Bernie Sanders than he does like a man of God. Now, I don't think people turn to the Pope for order. Maybe they turn to Jesus, and maybe they turn to the eternals of religion for their order. In the Jewish tradition, it would be the Torah. In the Jewish tradition, it would be the acts of the everyday life that keep them going through the ages. In Buddhism, where do they turn for order? But the point is, I don't want to get too philosophical here, because it always leads us to places we don't want to go. The White House seems to be out of order, in plain English. And we know everybody wants Trump to fail, and we know there are enemies within his own camp. We know that there are people playing both sides inside that White House. We know that there are people who are so self-aggrandizing, they're only in it for the after job. You've heard about the after party, right? There are people who are so nakedly in it only for the TV job, the book deal, after they're out of the White House. It's nauseating to watch the spectacle. And we all know who they are. It doesn't matter whether they're wearing a knit dress or a knit hairpiece. It's one and the same, and they don't belong there. And I've said this before, appearances matter. Appearances count. And I'm going to go back to the breakfast I had with the movie star today. We were talking for maybe 15 minutes, and then again he brought up, have you heard Donald Trump's Holocaust Memorial speech from this year? I said, no, I didn't. He said, I'll play it for you. So he searched on his iPhone, I'm eating the eggs, in the coffee shop that was empty, and he turned it on low, and he started to play it. And as I was listening to it, I said, hey, this is the Trump that we voted for. This is the Trump we wanted to run the world. This guy has the power, the leadership. What happened here? Why is he not giving these great speeches? He said, Michael, that's my point. He is. He is still giving the great speeches, but the vermin in the media that you so aptly use won't show these great speeches. They only want to show the chaos. I said, that's an interesting point. I said, I ought to play a little of the statesman-like speech that I heard today. I'm going to play for you. What time is it now? 10 after, roughly, 11 after? I want you to listen to the Holocaust Memorial speech that Trump gave on April 25th, 2017, that the rat vermin in the media would not let you hear. Instead, they want you to hear about John McCain stabbing Trump in the back. Let's listen for a minute. Let's hear it.
I'm deeply moved to stand before those who survived history's darkest hour. The Nazis massacred 6 million Jews. 2 out of every 3 Jews in Europe were murdered in the genocide. Millions more innocent people were imprisoned and executed by the Nazis without mercy, without even a sign of mercy. Yet even today, there are those who want to forget the past. Worse still, there are even those filled with such hate, total hate, that they want to erase the Holocaust from history. Those who deny the Holocaust.
All right, that's just the beginning. And this is great stuff, and I'm not going to play the 15-minute speech. You can find it yourself. It's from April 25th, 2017. This is the Trump that I'm waiting for every day. This is the Trump I want to see every day. This is the Trump I know is there. And I don't want to see the chaos. I don't want to see the disorder. Last week, I told you I'd seen the movie Dunkirk, and then I played Churchill for you. I showed you what great speeches are like. And I said we need more Churchill from Trump. Badly need more Churchill from Trump. He's got it in him. That's the point. And I think the people around him, I blame them. They're misleading him. They're misleading him into areas he shouldn't even be going. Like, what is he attacking people on the television for? Why is he attacking media people? That's not the job of a president, publicly anyway. That's not his level. You don't attack people so far below you, they're like ants crawling underneath your shoes. He should be talking about the global things. He should be inspiring us and all those in the world who are looking for inspiration from America, the greatest nation on earth. That's my opinion. And that's what I would advise him. Donald Trump, please go back to who you really are. Don't be distracted by the jesters around you. Don't be distracted by those with knives out for you behind their own back. They smile to your face and they leak while you sleep. No, my friends, it's not very good right now. Be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
The Savage Nation is sponsored by Swiss America, the only company I trust with my financial future. Call 800-289-2646 or SwissAmerica.com. I'm known as the architect of Trumpomania. That's well known. There have been other supporters and other books, but no single book defined the Trump presidency better than Trump's War, and still the best book on the subject. And to sit and bellyache about this for day after day is not the answer. I'm an idea man, but I'm a solutions man. I want to read you some of my solutions from Trump's war. Tell me if you agree with them, because I believe this battle plan is the best out there. If there's something better, let me know about it. On the economy, cut taxes on shackle American corporations and citizens. Quit NAFTA at once, just as he did with TPP. Employment mandate for America. Foreigners need not apply. Immediately rebuild infrastructure through private investment. On repealing Obamacare, look what I wrote. Recognize that the healthcare system was broken before Obamacare and why. Fix the crony capitalist FDA. Mandate insurance availability for individuals across state lines. Raise the eligibility age of Medicare. Mandate co-pays for Medicare and Medicaid. Simple. I mean, I know the answers. Restoring our borders from Trump's war. World War III is being waged by undocumented, unvetted immigrants. Start fighting back. Purge our shores of enemy combatants and limit World War III to Europe. Build the border wall now. Fire the bleeding hearts at the Centers for Disease Control and restore sensible public health protocols. Abolish sanctuary cities and deport the illegal vermin who are killing our citizens. Now, Trump gave a speech just on that last point today on Long Island. A great speech, by the way. Okay, restoring our culture from Trump's war. Kill Common Core at the state level. Restore civics classes at the local level. Abolish the Department of Education. Use the bully pulpit to preach Americanism. Next, restoring the military. To beef up the military, man up the military. Help wounded warriors, not sexually confused enlistees. It's biology, not misogyny. Gender equality has no place in the armed services. Make the VA more transparent and accountable via the Accountability First and Appeals Modernization Act and the Caring for Our Heroes in the 21st Century Act. Is very clear, isn't it? Well, it's in my book. And these are all in the last few pages of Trump's war. Let me go on. Defeating the war machine. Stand firm on peace with Russia. Isn't it odd that cowards on the left want war with Russia? Isn't it odd that the people without children of military age want war with Russia? Isn't it odd that the people who would be frightened of a backfire of a truck want war with Russia? Isn't it sickening? Stand firm on peace with Russia.